readers. Today we are going to be doing a little bit more review. We're going to be talking about the difference between fiction books and nonfiction books. We learned this way back in December, and I hope you still remember a lot of it. Remember, fiction books are made up books. They're made up in the author's brain. The author thought of some characters, maybe some things that seem like real life but are make-believe, or some things that are totally not real, like talking animals or magic or superpowers. And those books are fake. They're not real. Those books are fiction books. Sometimes it helps to remember the word because fiction and fake both start with the same sound. See how that works? An example of a fiction book that is kind of like real life is this book that we read the other day by Ezra Jack Keats called A Letter to Amy. This type of book is called realistic fiction. Do you hear that word real in realistic fiction? That doesn't mean it's real, true life facts like nonfiction. It means it's a made-up, make-believe story from the author's brain, but it seems like it could be real life. So in this book, Peter seems like he could be a real kid, right? Like he writes a letter to a friend, he has a birthday party and a cake, and this all seems like things that could happen in real life. But Peter isn't a real kid, and Amy isn't a real kid, and this didn't really happen. This was made up in Ezra Jack Keats' brain. But because it's similar to real life, because it's like things that happen to real kids, we call that realistic fiction. Realistic fiction is a fiction made-up book that sounds like real life, even though the characters and the things that happen in the book didn't really happen. Then we also have nonfiction. And nonfiction books are real, true information teaching books. They tell you true facts about real places, real things, real people, and they teach you true information. Sometimes in a nonfiction book, the author will use real photographs, like they do in Green Anacondas. Grace Hansen uses real pictures of anacondas, real pictures of lions, real pictures that help teach you. Sometimes nonfiction books have drawings, but they're still true information books, like in On the Construction Site. These pictures are not real photos, someone drew these pictures, but it's still true teaching information about construction sites. It's not telling you a make-believe story about a construction site, it's telling you real things about construction. See how those are different? Let's review. Fiction books are made-up, make-believe books. Things that are not real and did not happen in real life. Realistic fiction is a special kind of fiction. Those books are still made up, still make-believe, but the characters and the things that happen seem like they could happen. Like if I were to write a book about kids going to school, and I made their names Lolly, Sally, and Moo Moo. Lolly, Sally, and Moo Moo are not real kids in our class. Those are make-believe. But they could do things that are kind of like real life, like go to school and eat lunch and play on the playground. That's realistic fiction. And then we have nonfiction. And those are true books about real people, real places, things that exist in real life. And they teach you information. Let's look at some book covers of some books we know. And let's see if we think that they are real life books or if they're made up books. If they're fiction or nonfiction. Or even realistic fiction. All right, let's look at Knuffle Bunny. Yes, I used to think it was called Knuffle Bunny. I thought it was a silent K, but turns out Mo Willems actually wants it to be Knuffle Bunny. Let's look at Knuffle Bunny. What kind of book do you think this is? Fiction, realistic fiction, or nonfiction? You can say, I think it's because Yeah, it's realistic fiction. Trixie and her Knuffle Bunny and her dad, they're not real. They don't exist in real life. But this could happen, right? A kid could take their stuffed animal to the laundromat and lose it and leave it there. It's something that could happen in real life and probably has happened to many kids. But this kid isn't actually real. You might even notice that Mo Willems used real pictures of New York City, but put fake characters in it. Realistic fiction. What about this title? This book is called How Plants Grow. Do you think this is fiction, realistic fiction, or nonfiction? How do you know? Yeah, it's nonfiction. It's going to teach you real information about plants. It's called How Plants Grow. That gives you a hint. And it has a real picture of a plant in some dirt with its roots. What about this book? This book is called Penguins. What kind of book do you think it is? Fiction, realistic fiction, nonfiction? You can say, I think it is. I know because. Yes, it's nonfiction. It's going to teach you true information about penguins. You can tell because the book is called Penguins and it has a real life picture of a penguin on the cover. What about the carrot seed? You can say, I think because, or I know because. That's right, it's realistic fiction. It's still fiction, it's made up, make believe. But this could happen, right? A kid could grow a carrot. And his brother and his mom could all say, I don't think it's going to come out. This could happen in real life. It seems like something that might happen in real life. But this boy in this story is not real. He doesn't exist in the real world. He was made up in the author's brain. What about Pete the Cat? Fiction, nonfiction, or realistic fiction? How do you know? Yes, it's fiction, not even realistic fiction. Cats don't play guitar and wear shoes and sing songs. This cannot happen in real life. It is totally made up, totally fake. It is fiction. Last one. What about Elephant and Piggy books? Are they fiction, nonfiction, or realistic fiction? How do you know? That's right. They are totally fiction. Not realistic fiction, not nonfiction. It's made up. Talking pigs and talking elephants that sing and dance and play and wear glasses. Nah, totally made up in Mo Willems's brain. Totally fake. It is fiction. Pause now to do your reading homework. Pausa ahora para hacer tu tarea de lectura. Look at these book covers on the next screen. Decide if the book is fiction or nonfiction. Make sure you say how you know. You can say, I think this book is because bonus. Can you know when a book is realistic fiction? Mira estas portadas de libros en el próximo página. Decide si el libro es ficción, fiction, o no ficción. Pause on this screen. Pausa on esta página. Changing seasons, the snowy day, everything space, and the three billy goats graph.